Hello, warriors. This is Miss Lemons, and today I'm going to be teaching you how we do a one-pager in chemistry. So this right here is the first one-pager of the year, the molecular compounds one-pager. I'm just going to read this out loud. It says, a one-pager is a creative response to your learning experience. It allows you to respond imaginatively while being brief and concise in making connections between words and images. We think about what we see and read differently when we are asked to do something with what we have seen or read. We learn best when we create our own ideas. Your finished product should be clear and easy to follow so that it is easily understood by your peers. That is a key part. Okay. Using the information you discovered in your molecular compounds reading, which the hyperlink is right here if you want to click into it. Create a one-pager that summarizes the key vocabulary and concepts. This will act as your introductory note page for this introduction to Unit 5. Please follow this format. So you kind of have a checklist here. This is a nice, useful checklist, but I want you to know that the rubric on the back is what you really should be paying attention to. So maybe you did the thing on the checklist, but you want to make sure that it's at the right rigor or the right caliber of quality that I'm looking for to get the points you want. So content, you're going to write 2 high-level test questions and answer them. So if you're having a hard time with high-level questions, a good trick of the trade is to use verbs from the top 3 steps in Bloom's taxonomy. So here, use this little tiny URL. This is what it looks like. So analyzing, evaluating, and creating, these are the top 3 tiers of Bloom's, and you can use them as a stepping stone. Like pick one of these verbs and create a question from it. So categorize, illustrate, outline, predict, to rank, to evaluate or estimate, to propose, revise, rewrite, right? So that's a good starting spot for a question. Another good way of knowing if your question is high level or not is that if there are multiple correct answers to it. So for instance, you could say, draw an atomic model, which is not relevant to Unit 5, but draw an atomic model. And I might draw a ball and stick model, or somebody might draw a Bohr diagram. Somebody might try to talk about the quantum mechanical model. There's 113 elements on the periodic table. You could pick any one of those, right? There's multiple ways to answer a question like that. So if your answer is, or there are multiple correct answers, then you know it's a higher level question for the most part. Other things you have to do here. You have to write 2 brief quotations from the reading that best summarize the article. So I wouldn't pick your quotations from the article until you have made it all the way through the article, but it's not a bad idea to kind of like keep a few in your back pocket and try to keep them to 1 sentence or less, okay? Draw 4 images with captions that depict examples that support the main idea. The images should be simple, neat, and relate directly to the content. Graphs, tables, formulas, and models are acceptable images. You may print out those images or you can draw them. Then you're going to place 5 essential vocabulary words around the images. These are terms, words, or phrases that express the main ideas of the article, and they need to be easy to locate because remember, your one-pager needs to be easily understood by your peers, okay? Now, you do not need to define the vocab words. It does not say anywhere in the rubric that you need to define them. You just need to incorporate them, but make sure they are obvious. Your peers should be able to find them quickly. Okay, the format, you need a title. That's important. You're going to use colored pens, pencils, or markers and have a reason for using a certain color. So a good example would be like in this example, this physics example here on net force. You can see here that this person put both of their quotations in lime green. And then they also put answers to these quotations or like reflections on these quotations in blue. So they're using color not in an artistic way. They're using color as a means to like group certain ideas or concepts together. Maybe you write all your questions in red. Maybe you write all your answers in purple. Like using color strategically is what's going to help. The other things in format, you're going to be purposeful about the arrangement of your one-pager. I do have several different like templates that you can use, or you can just wing it on a piece of blank paper. A symbolic colored border around at least 2 edges of the page. For this force diagram, or the net force one, you can see that they used the variables that are used in force calculation, so Fs and Fg, which I think was pretty cute. And then it only has to be on 2 of those edges, okay? And then you have to fill the entire piece of computer paper and write your name on the back. So that's your checklist to make sure you have everything. But what's more important is making sure that once you finish your checklist, that you can go through your rubric and give yourself the highest score on each of those topics or each of those criteria. So make sure you're reading through the rubric and grading yourself as you are finishing your one-pager. The reading that you're going to use will be provided to you in hard copy and in electronic form. And then the next day, we are doing a peer review. So it's important that, yes, this is your introductory note page to Unit 5, but also you have to, I just lost my train of thought. It's your introduction, but you need to make sure it's easy for other people to read too. Okay, so just because it's easy for you to see doesn't mean it's very clear to your peers. So make sure you're creating a product that can be viewed and used by everyone. And that's pretty much the one-pager, what I'm looking for in your one-pagers. You'll have the entire class period tomorrow to work on this. Have fun.